right. Welcome to the Matt Ellipsis Show. And all right. Now look, this is I just this right here, this sermon that I got, I'm calling it a sermon. And you know what? And here's why I'm calling it a sermon. This, for some reason, as I tried to just be what I would consider, or what other people would consider, just a lay person. I'm a rapper. Matt, you're more than just a rapper. No, I'm just a rapper. You're a minister of the and you're an ambassador, and you are a you're a minister of reconciliation, and so they give you all these things or whatever that's supposed to make you basically work on the stuff. But the bottom line is, ain't nobody ordained me to do nothing. Nobody in the earth, nobody's handed me a piece of paper that said, I ordain you to do blah, blah, blah. There are people who have done the equivalent of what they did to Timothy, laying on of hands and stuff like that. What they did, the equivalent in the book of Acts, where they said, separate Barnabas and Paul, because I got some work for y'all to do. I've had many of those. I've had many of those equivalents. So I don't feel any loss at all in terms of what it is that, in terms of the ministry that I have. I have no loss, no qualms. What I am, the words that I'm saying are not born. Anything where I say nobody's ever ordained me, whenever you hear me say that, that's not born out of bitterness. It is born out of what's called accountability. For instance, let's say you live in Illinois, near Chicago. And every year, it's almost like a ritual every year that they tear up the roads and stuff like that, right? There was a time period where I remember that the salt on the roads was creating a lot of potholes. And so we would be driving and it'd be like, bro, like, doggone it, these potholes. And then you've heard, if you just look up potholes and think about, in the past, at least I'm in my 40s, so I've heard about, we got all these potholes in our town, and we pay taxes and stuff like that, and why do we got all these potholes and all these, these craters in our ground, whatever, stuff like that. It's that when you're complaining about that, you're not complaining out of bitterness. You're complaining out of accountability. Why am I paying taxes for this and for that and for this and for that, and the property taxes and state taxes on, state and county taxes on my cigarettes, and a sin tax on beer and this and the other? Why am I paying all these extra taxes on everything, and we still got all these potholes? It's accountability. So the reason why I'm calling this a sermon is because sermons are not tied only to the preaching of the gospel. They're just not. And I used to say, well, I'm about to have a discussion. A discussion looks a certain way. Well, I'm about to do a podcast. A podcast looks a certain way. And I'm treating this sermon like a podcast because what's been going on is this. When Pastor Brian would preach at church, and I've been a member of CC, Christian Conscience International, and Pastor Brian would preach, I heard things Pastor Brian would say to the local house. I know how it would benefit other people from other places. So I would say, hey, look, let's take your sermons and let's put them on the website and make it so that people can, and Pastor Brian was like, yeah, that's a good idea. And people can benefit if they're online. Because think about how many things you come across. And the way that Pastor Brian would teach and preach, it benefited me so much. It just did. Now, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of sermons that I've listened to over the years. You know what I'm saying? My spiritual diet, I didn't only eat from Pastor Brian's table, if you want to call it that. So I've listened to various sermons because sometimes I wasn't in a position where I could, that Pastor Brian, I've listened to him so much that sometimes I just got to put down everything because it's like, you know what? I understand that and already. Not saying like I don't get more out of it, but I do. And so it's like sometimes I got to go back 2 or 3 years later and I'm like, whoa, I listened to this again. I'm like, whoa, now I'm hearing it and I see, yes, what Pastor Brian said here, I lived this and I saw this and I saw that, boom, bam, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, not only was he right about this, but this lines up with something he said 2 years prior. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just the way I work and the way, as a scribe, okay? That's another word that somebody applied to me that I didn't know about that applied to me. And that's what I am, a scribe. A rapper is a little bit of a reporter to a degree. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm telling it how it is on the streets, right? You know how rappers, you know what I'm saying, whatever. Anyway, so this sermon, it dropped on me and I said, man, I got freedom right now. I'm in a 2-hour, I got about a 3-hour drive. And what I like to do, I like going for about 55 minutes, say a few words, and then when I finish it and then I upload it, whatever. And what I'm learning is that when I put it out there, because what I was saying, when I put it and I get it all set up on YouTube and I put it there, and especially if I put on YouTube and then also connect it and set it up so that it's on Facebook so that people can link to it, I start seeing views. And now listen, I don't care, and I've never cared about how many views I get. Because here's what I've been doing. I've learned that you need to target what you're saying for who it is you need to say it to. Okay? What I'm about to say right now, this is this sermon that I'm about to get into that I'm about to say the name in a few seconds. This sermon is for everybody in America. Okay? But there are certain sermons that are specifically for my son and my daughter. So I don't mind anybody listening to it when I put it out there. If I put it on YouTube, that's because I don't mind it being out there. I don't mind that information being out there. Right? And if you end up listening to something that was meant for my children, then somehow God set you up to listen to it because it's going to benefit you. Like I did one to my goddaughter, and currently it was like 60-something views, but I only sent it to her. I sent it to her, and I sent it to one other person that I mentioned them in the audio, in that sermon. And no, that one I didn't even consider a sermon. It kind of was a sermon because I had made my little notes, but I didn't name that as a sermon. I named that as a discussion to her. Because, sometimes, because YouTube is the bomb. YouTube is wonderful, okay? Because YouTube and Facebook makes it so that you can pretty much reach all the people that you want to reach. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I recorded a video of one of my friends of his sermon. He had like 2 weeks of doing some sermons, right? So I recorded it, edited it, uploaded it to YouTube, and he said I saw him in the store. Hey, Matt, Do you got the video? Did you get that? I said, yeah, man, I got this. It's done. Standing right in front of him. Then he did he give me his number? I didn't have his number at the time, I don't think. So then I pulled up the video on YouTube. I put Matt Ellipsis and then his name, and then both videos popped up, and I hit, share, send it right to his text. The first one, boom, sent the second one right to his text. Boom, he had it. And we see each other here and there, but at least that was my way to deliver it to him. I don't, just because it's on YouTube don't mean everybody's gonna watch it. Do you watch everything that's on YouTube? Do you watch everything? Who watches everything on YouTube? No, YouTube is what you want to watch. So you look at this, you look at that, you look at this. All right, like I'm into the Schuler King videos. I think it's Schuler. My lady, she introduced me to Schuler King, and man, I'm talking about me and her every day. We looking at one of them videos every single day. My lady, she's into TD Jakes and Joel Osteen, right? And I appreciate Joel Osteen, and I like his sermons. I really do. But that's a positive person right there. Joel Osteen is a positive person. Woo, that dude is positive, okay? You think I'm positive. He's, yes, and and God is going to be right there for you. He is a positive televangelist. Good God. Now, but I'm more into TD Jakes. Like TD Jakes is more somebody that when I could listen to TD Jakes over and over and over and over and over again. TD Jakes, do you know that TD Jakes taught me math on one of his sermons? And he was talking about tithing a little bit, but he was talking about 10, the number 10. I'm not finna get into it, but when I heard that sermon and he was talking about the 10, and I think it was maybe 2 hours worth of sermons where he was talking about a couple of issues, a couple of things, but one of them that was dominant in both of the sermons was the 10, the number 10. Boy, I said, doggone it, I got it. And that helped me in a big way, put a lot of stuff in perspective about tithing and about, for me, about tithing. Boy, I'm telling you, you don't need to sit down with me and do the emotional, now come on now, the Lord wants you to give. You don't need to do that with me. Because what TD Jakes talked about the 10th, and about the dime, turn on a dime, and the 10, the number 10 and all that helped me totally get it beyond just giving some tithe and offering. I'm always going to have a love and a commitment to church, the concept of church people, partially because of that sermon. It don't matter how upset I get with any pastor or any SCCT sect of religion or whatever. It don't matter I'm never going to be mad at God. And I'm always going to have a commitment to the body of Christ, kingdom of God, church, whatever you want to get, all these different terms related to just churchity, churchified, church people. I'm committed. Boom. Now, the sermon that I'm about to get into the name of it is Every American Should Hold Public Office for at least one term. That's a long title. I'm not going to shorten it up. I've learned sometimes you can't abbreviate everything. That's what the M ... Do you know, can I tell you something? Check this out. Do you know that my rap name, when I turned 15 and I started rapping, I was on a bus. I was on a bus with a guy named Kevin. So Kevin, he said, hey man, we should start rapping. We were in our school at Palatine. I graduated from Palatine High School but I went to two separate high schools. I went to one in Palatine and one in Maywood, Proviso East in Maywood, and then Palatine High School in Palatine, Illinois. So I started in freshman year. I started school with sort of a unique identity, meaning that I was still trying to figure out what I was. And sometimes the people around you, when they start making fun of you, picking at you, and all that other stuff, that's kind of, it helps you figure out who you are. So by the end of that year, I was a rapper. By the end of my freshman year, I was a rapper, because in the middle of the year, at some point, me and Kevin, he was a black guy, we got on the bus, and he said, yo, we should become rappers. And I said, yeah, that's a good idea. And he never wrote no lyrics. I went home immediately that night and started writing lyrics. And I started writing lyrics, and then I was listening to, I got introduced to Ice Cube and MC Ren. MC Ren at the time was my favorite rapper. MC Ren, he had this song called Final Frontier. And he said, I jumped up over the and get with the fight. If you ever listen to that song by MC Ren, Final Frontier, that line, I jumped up over the table to get with the fight. I heard that, I was like, yo, that is the bomb! And that is when I started being able to learn how to rhyme. I repented, so I'm here with the kingdom on the top of red dot. When I was a kid living for the Sentai, just enough for the Sentai, and I didn't buy necessary things, trying to make a hit song, then I get the song yesterday. I can do that because when I was 15, I heard MC Ren jumped up over the tongue, to get with the fight. I said, dang, right? So I'm writing my little lyrics, and then I get introduced to other rappers that I love, Busta Rhymes, Redman, Busta Rhymes, Redman. Eminem wasn't out at the time when I started rapping. There's so many rappers. I listened to a lot of rappers over the, you know what I'm saying? That helped sort of shape what I enjoyed. And then I went to Maywood, and then in Maywood they did stuff called battle rapping. And so I would be down in Maywood, and by the time I went to Maywood, I knew how to freestyle, and I was battle rapping, blah, 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 whatever, right? Now, I said all that just to say that I figured out what I want to do with my life when I was young at 15. That was my most imaginative time period, is in your youth, before you get introduced to the work, going to work. So before I started my first job, I knew that I wanted to be a rapper. And then after I did the rap thing and made a little cassette tape, when I was in Maywood, then I think during my senior year, I did comedy in high school. And so it was a 3-night variety show, because I tried to do the variety show in my freshman year or sophomore year as a rapper, and they was like, get this out of there, because I had no beats. We didn't have the technology we got right now, where you could just do it. And I had this little white girl, bless her heart. I had this little white girl. She played the Pink Panther theme. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-dum, ba-dum. So I had her playing that, and I was rapping. I was 15 or 16, 15, 14, 15, something there. Right? And the people, it wasn't in the music department, art department, or whatever, the music and theater department of the high school. It was only about 7 or 8 at the most of the blacks. All I remember was Sharia. I remember Sharia being in it. Me. And I'm gonna have to ask Sharia who else was involved in the art department during the time that we was there. I just remember her and me, and there was other blacks that was the basketball team. There was a couple blacks that was on the football team. There was a couple blacks that were, you know what I'm saying? It was, so it was a few of us. Anyway, so me being a rapper, so I figured out my identity. So by the end of high school, I had done the comedy thing, And so those two things were part of my life. Now, I never looked at comedy as big as I looked at rap. Rap was my thing, but I didn't know the comedy thing was there, okay? So anyway, let me make sure my recording's still going. Good Lord, because the last thing I want to do is waste these words. Okay, no, I'm not wasting no words. All right, now, again, the title of this is Every American Should Hold Public Office for at least one term. Okay? That's the title, and that's where I'm headed. All right? Now, so when everything was over with in terms of high school, and I formed at least what my strengths are, I knew my strength was rap. That was my strength, words. The mastery or the desire to master and talk about words. And I was walking around, I still have it. Somebody gave me a crossword puzzle dictionary, which was kind of like a thesaurus, because it was, give me a 5-letter word for and so whatever the word is, you look in that crossword puzzle dictionary, you might find it. And this was a nice little thing. I carried it everywhere, the same way that some people carry around their Bible everywhere. Okay? Man, I loved it. I loved it, man. I loved that look. I still got it. It's in my storage. I don't know if I'll ever get rid of it, because I haven't mastered that thing. I ain't mastered it yet. You know what I'm saying? And so, anyway. Now, I end up going into the military. And so, when I was on active duty, stationed at Fort Hood, I hit on this girl named Irisha. And Irisha, I hit on her, but she didn't, you know how you be flirting? You don't expect it to go. Some guys, we don't expect it to go anywhere, but you still got to throw your line out there to see if something going to hit. And she turned the whole thing into, well, why don't I take you to church? Why don't you come to church with me? And, I threw a line out there, and I end up getting caught myself. She took me to church, and I get saved that Sunday. So now I'm a Christian. Now listen, up until that day, my stage name was the Mad Dog. Mad, D-A-W-G, deranged a-hole with a gun. Or mad deranged a-hole with a gat. And I have cassette tapes with some of my Mad Dog music from the Mad Dog. I still got some of that stuff. I had songs like Nothing But the Dog in Me, It's Just the Dog in Me, right? My sisters sang that with me. And then I had a friend named Kim Love. Kim, I brought her to the studio, and Kim, so my sister was singing, Nothing But the Dog in Me, It's Just the Dog in Me. It's nothing but the dog in me, it's just the dog in me. Something like that, right? So they would still do that over and over. And then Kim brought her in the studio, and Kim was like, nothing but the dog, yeah, nothing but the dog. She was going, I had made like 5 different versions of it, because she was snapping off. I got to add that in there. So the song was like 7-8 minutes, okay? Because I was enjoying it. The whole thing. I had my little verses on it. I had my different beats. Man, I'm talking about, that was my song, right? That was my title track, The Dog, Nothing But the Dog. Bodia, look, this was the part of the hook, right? And believe it or not, now this may sound ridiculous, but that was before Snoop Dogg, before I ever even heard any Snoop Dogg music. Because I think the reason why I came up with the name Mad Dog was because when I was in 5th grade, way before there was ever a Snoop Dogg, whatever year I was in 5th grade, it was NWA or before NWA. Okay, I don't know exactly. All I know is that in 5th grade, that is when a little kid gave me the nickname the Mad Dog. It was in Maywood. It was a whole bunch of kids that jumped me. I'm not going to go into the story right now. But anyway, that's where I got the nickname or the name Mad Dog. And I just held on to it. You know, Palatine, they don't know nothing about the Mad Dog. They don't know, you know, except for me, meaning that I just adapted that name and said, well, okay, what's your rap name going to be? Well, I guess it's the Mad Dog. That's what they called me back in whatever. And so when I started writing lyrics, I was the Mad Dog. So, you know, whatever. So then when, you know, when I met Jerry and his rap name was R-I-S-K, rugged, insane serial killer. The Risk, rugged, insane serial killer. That was his rap name, right? So it was The Risk and Mad Dog. And then we got a DJ named Reese, right? And Reese, he just sent me a friend request. So I'm gonna add his picture to this sermon, so he understands, so he knows this is connected with him. So I'm gonna send this to him too, right? So anyway, so it was me, Jerry, and Reese as a group, and we called ourselves Death Penalty. That was our rap name, Death Penalty. Give DP some love, hey. Give DP some love, hey. That was one of our little dumb little songs, right? Anyway, that was the Mad Dog type here, right? So then, now I'm in the military, and I get saved. And when I went to the church, I went to People's Choice Pentecostal Holiness Church, and what was coming over the pulpit was, you know, all that secular music is of the devil, right? And, you know, just so I gave it up. And by the time I got in the military, that was the first time that I had enough money. I had jobs in high school, but I didn't, like, it wasn't as much as I was making in the military to have one job. And I started, during the first year, I saw one of my roommates, he had CDs. And I said, well, I can have a CD. And once in a while, I would go buy a CD, and I would play it out. Like, I liked Spice One. Remember Spice One? As a rapper, Spice One, I had his CD. And, man, I'm talking about Spice One, you know, I can't remember all the lyrics, but Spice One, I listened to DJ Quick, and I loved, out of the DJ Quick crew, because it was AMG, DJ Quick, and Second to None. DJ Quick and AMG were my two favorites out of that whole crew. Even though Second to None did have a couple good hits that I enjoyed. Who else did I like? I liked Ice Cube. All his 3 albums, America's Most Wanted, Death Certificate. Man, I'm talking about, The Predator. Oh my God. Oh, Ice Cube became the number one to me. Because Ice Cube, when you listen to his lyrics, he was talking about something that resonated with me, even though I had not had all the same experiences that Ice Cube had at the time. Out of everybody that I listened to, Ice Cube resonated the most. And I'll never forget, there was a song that he had where they, you know how sometimes they have little skits. And I heard this in high school. I heard this album in high school. This would happen. He had a skit where he said, hey brother, yes, I'm not doing the skit right, but I'm just paraphrasing from my memory. Ice Cube was the skit was about Ice Cube himself talking to a black guy who was a Christian, you know, and he walked up to him and he said to the guy, hey brother, how you doing? Or something like that. And the guy said, he said, why are you waiting right here? He said, I'm waiting for the rapture, or waiting for the rapture of the Lord Jesus Christ, or something like that. And he said, well, you just gonna stand here and just look, I'm looking in the sky, and whatever he said. He said, well, is this your car? Yeah, this is my car. Well, you mind if I take it? You can take it. I'm waiting on the Lord Jesus Christ. And he hopped in his car and drove off. And to this day, I might have to go back and listen to it. I don't remember what that meant, but the inference, I believe, and I have to, one day, if I get a chance to ever interview or talk to Ice Cube, I might ask him about that, because I remember that. It was when I look back on it, now that I'm in my 40s, when I look back on that skit, he was kind of saying that black Christians were gullible. He may not have really meant that, I don't know, but all I know is if you listen to it, that dude who let Ice Cube take his car, you're pretty dumb. Get it? No, you can't have my car. If I'm sitting there waiting on the Lord Jesus Christ, I'm gonna sit in my car and wait for the Lord Jesus Christ, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I can't remember it exactly. All I remember is that in my 15, 16-year-old brain, I remember hearing that. So, when I became a Christian, look, all that secular music is of the devil, according to the pastor, according to the bishop. So, I had accumulated 30 or 32 CDs. I hadn't even opened them all up yet. I had bought, right before I became a Christian, I had bought the double CD Tupac, right? I don't know how long it had been out, but I went right to the store when I had some money, and because I realized, wait a minute, because I didn't know how to use all bank accounts, whatever. Money was just sitting in my account, and they gave us, the ability to get it, and I just, I might put gas in my car, but I didn't, well, I can go do this, I can go get that, I can go, wait a minute, you got this, I'm finna go down and get, I didn't get no loans or nothing like that, but I would go do stuff, go get me some food. I'm an adult now. I'm an adult. So, whatever. So I bought me 30 or 32 CDs, and I bought the Tupac, the double CD, All Eyes on Me, and there was a song on there called Only God Can Touch Me, Only God. That was probably, if it wasn't my favorite song on the album, on the double album, it was at least in the top 5 of that whole album. Boy, Only God Can Touch Me, Only God. Boom. And I love the beat on that joker, man. It's just, man, right? And so, anyway, so I felt compelled, based on all of this is the devil. So I took all of them CDs and I went down to the pawn shop, and just like the dude in the Ice Cube skit, I walked up in there. I just became a Christian, and all of this music is of the devil. So I came to give it to you guys so that you can, what do you do in a pawn shop? Because I ain't never been in a pawn shop, like, really. Because I heard, when you go on my way to church, I passed at least 20-something pawn shops on my way to church. Down the main Killeen Boulevard, the main drag in Killeen. So I stopped at one of them, and he took my 32 CDs, and instead of giving me a bunch of money or whatever, he handed me a cassette tape, a used cassette tape of Kirk Franklin, What You're Looking For. So in my vehicle, all I had was that cassette tape, and so I had that cassette tape I used to listen to over and over, and then I had a cassette tape that my supervisor, Staff Sergeant Thomas, he gave me John P. Key on one side, and John P. Key on one side, and Commission on the other side, right? 45-minute cassette tape. So I listened to those 3 albums over and over and over and over. Boy, I'm telling you, them 3 albums were just and I used to listen to sermon tapes all the time, right? So then a year goes by, I'm saved, and the pastor says, we need money for the building fund. Building fund money. Oh God! Now I went back to my barracks, and I was like, Lord, I'm giving at the such and such level. Plus I'm giving extra, because God loves a cheerful giver based on. So I'm giving, beyond this, I can't do nothing else. And if I thought everybody was doing the same amount, the same level. But if everybody's doing it, and the churches and the pastors sweating and halfway crying, and it's emotional, the music going, making everybody crying because we need money and stressed out, and we need the money, we about to be in trouble. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you understand what I'm saying. So I went home to my barracks and I talked to God about this. I'm like, Lord, I can't do nothing else. What else am I gonna do? How can I help out? And he said, pick up your pencil, pick up your pen. I said, Lord, rap is of the devil. He said, that's what he said. That's not what I said. I said, wait a minute, Lord, are you telling me you say stuff different than what he say? He said, Matt, you got your keyboard. And I sat down and I made 2 90-minute cassette tapes of instrumentals. And the instrumentals were 5 minutes apiece, meaning that I was just getting the seed of the instrumental. I still have those tapes, meaning these are beats that came from my spirit that I've been ignoring because I was making beats in high school with my buddies, right? Learned how to play the keyboard a little bit and got my drum machine. So I made 2 90-minute cassettes worth. It's 2 90-minute cassette tapes plus half of one side of a 90-minute cassette, which was 45 minutes. So half of 45 minutes. So I made 2 full 90-minute cassette tapes plus half of a third one, full of beats, and they were 5 minutes each. Okay, that's how many beats I made in about a month at the most. It wasn't even a month, and I was just cranking out these little instrumental ideas. So because to me, this is what I thought. I didn't know you could buy beats at that time. All I knew is you make your beat and then you rap to your beat, right? So, and a mixtape is you use somebody else's beat. But if you put out an album or you put out a single, you make the beats, or your team, your team make the beats and the lyrics. You make everything yourself. That's the way I was groomed and raised as a rapper, so to speak, if you want to say that. Anyway, like for NWA, Dre made the beats, and then Ice Cube wrote lyrics, and even though Eazy-E, he might have written some lyrics or whatever, but Ice Cube, we knew his pen helped other people, you know what I'm saying, in the group. Everybody was working as a team. This person does this. It's a team effort. So anyway, now when I finished, so I decided on 4 songs that I was gonna do. So I took 4 of all of that, and then I wrote lyrics to them, and the lyrics just flowed. I made a song called Like an Eagle, which was based on the sermon from Bishop Nate Holcomb at Christian House of Prayer, he's now deceased. Darn it. Hey, sweetheart. Hold on, baby. Hold on. What's up, baby? Uh-oh. Okay. She hung up. All right, now. So, Like an Eagle, my sickness, I never knew my sickness such as death that tried to suck me in the grave and throw me in Hades, but Jesus paid my way so I could be saved. Wave your hands if you're a witness. He bore my sickness. Right? That song is Lola. That's Lola's favorite song. I don't think she cared about any other music in my catalog at all. I done made over 100 and something songs, and she said, Matt, I need you to look. I'm calling you right now. This is what she do. She look. Why don't you rap that song real quick for this person that I just met? And I'm like, Lola, I don't want to rap this. You rap the song. Yeah, I never knew my sisters under death to try to drop me in the grave, right? So yes, man. So that's okay. I made that song, Like an Eagle, My Sickness, another song, and then the title track was I Wish You Knew. And that I Wish You Knew, when I did that one had Art Black on it. Now, when the song I recorded the album. I recorded the 4-song cassette tape, and then all that. Now, before when you get to the part where it's mixed and mastered, now you got to make the artwork. And so I was making the artwork, and so one of somebody, I can't remember who, they took the picture. I did a photo shoot myself. They took a picture, and then I took it, got it developed, and then made the cassette tape or whatever. But now I gotta put my name on it. What's my rap name gonna be? But I'm the Mad Dog, right? And the third song on the album was Who Is That? That was the first song that you hear. Who Is That? And in that song, I say, I'm still the Mad Dog, so wipe that question mark out your mind. Now, whenever I've rapped that song in later years, I used to say something like I killed the Mad Dog or crucified the Mad Dog, right? But on the original cassette, I'm still the Mad Dog, so wipe that question mark about your mind. In other words, when I left Maywood, when I left Palatine, when I left Illinois, I left as the Mad Dog. But now, what's my stage name now? Lord, what is my stage name now? I'm the Mad Dog. What is my stage name? He said, well, how about the M ... The M. How about the M? You're not the Mad Dog, you're the M. How about that? So I said the M. I'm the M. What is the M? And I don't know when I added the dots or whatever, but I just know that it was the M. The M was short for the Mad Dog. So you can remember that it's still me. But I'm not mad, and I'm not a dog no more. That's what that meant. That's what the M signified. Now, again, remember I told you, this is about everybody holding public office. Okay? Now, I figured out my identity. By the time I was 21, I was the M ... which was short for, the M ... was short for the Mad Dog. But I'm not the Mad Dog. But when I went back, home, hey, what's up, Mad Dog? I ain't correct him, because that's still me. But the church people and my homies from, Maywood and Palatine or whatever, they just knew me as the Mad Dog or Matt or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not correcting you. I am what I am. Now I'm an adult, I'm off of active duty, and I'm driving a truck with my father, and then I'm going from, different jobs or whatever, and I come to hear someone say, everybody should join the military for at least 2 years. And they talked to me about Israel, that Israel, everybody has to join the military for 2 years of their life, meaning that every citizen has a 2-year or so. I don't know the details of it because I never really looked into it, so I could be wrong by what I'm saying. But somebody told me that, and I was like, and we were having a discussion, and it made me walk around for years believing, I think everybody should be in the military for 2 years. I'm wonderful. I'm great. So everybody should be as great as me. 2 years in the military. I think everybody. Now, I never advocated for no law, but I remember I've used that in conversation. Everybody's joined the military for 2 years, at least. Now, my mind has changed on that. And the reason why the sermon dropped, every American should hold public office for at least one term, is because less than 2% of the population of America goes into the military, and a fraction of that amount actually retire, like I have, from the military. Okay? So when I've walked through my 20s and 30s, I've learned that America, regardless of if you are a Christian, and regardless of if you are a military person, there is a dominating thing, and that is what some people would call racial problems. Racial problems that I'm not going to say that I've solved them, but, and that's because the reason why I believe that I have a solution in my head, and I will talk about those solutions in the future. But I've come to look at racial problems not as a problem anymore. Because if there's a problem, smart people know how to solve it. And if race in America is actually a problem, then the smartest people, either they don't see it as a problem, the people who are smart, the people who are brilliant, the people who are in public office, the people who are in financially wealthy, who could do stuff to get, those people must not see it the same way I see it. For instance, I'm a man, and women have said we have a sexism problem in America. Now, in my household, I'm the head of the family. Me and my wifey, we went to the same churches, and we functioned our household in theory that it was set up. Matt, you the head of the family. But what I learned is that when you start trying to live out your faith, you find that your faith is going to be confronted by American ideology, secular ideology, like happy wife, happy life. Happy wife, happy life is not man is the head of the family. That is, woman is the head of the family. But wait a minute. God set it up as man is the head of the family. But America says happy wife, happy life mean woman is the head of the family. She's the boss. I'm in the doghouse. That's woman is the head of the family. Now, guess what? I had to figure out both is true. When you're living in America and you're a church-going or Christian believer, blah, 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 you have to merge both. But both of them are oil and water. Oil and water don't mix. Light and darkness don't mix. So how do you serve two masters? How do you serve man is the head of the family, head of the house, and woman is the head of the house? How do you serve two masters on that? I got a document from my wifey where she said next year I have to file head of the household. Hold on. You're not head of the household. How you filing head of the household? How you gonna take the two children and put them on your taxes, and my taxes don't reflect? Wait a minute. Oh, and I'm supposed to take all the debt. I want to be disconnected from his debt. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You don't get to pick and choose. Which system are we functioning under? If we functioning under man as the head of the family, then that comes with a whole set of circumstances. If we function in you are the head of the family, then that means it's a whole different set of circumstances. Because if you the head of the family, wifey, then that means I'm your dependent. And Matt is the head of the family, you're my dependent. Because in the military, everybody who is not the service member or the sponsor is the dependent. So in military terms, spouse and my 2 children, they are all dependents. I'm not your dependent. But listen, you can go to the commissary and you don't have to pay federal taxes on our groceries. All right, I'll be a dependent in that respect. But I'm not your dependent. You know, moving the neck around, all that stuff. So throughout my marriage, I've learned that I'm really not the head of my household. Because whatever county we live in, all she got to do is go to the county and they smack me around like I ain't nothing. So now I'm trying to live kingdom of God, Matt's the head of the family, in a scenario where woman is the head of the family. And she ain't giving up her position. Matter of fact, she go to Monroe County and get more and more and more authority over me. And now I got police harassing me. I got, people. Church. Listen, I had a white guy from church. Right, this church got the white Jesus on the wall, and which, again, that's a race problem in America. White Jesus. So white Jesus on the wall, and this preacher, he's, me and him friendly. I done, we talk. But, wifey, she done said some stuff to some people at church where now he walks up to me and starts to assert his dominance over me. Listen, if somebody walks up to you and says, listen, this is what I heard was going on, this is what you need to do. You need to go ahead and give her he's ordering me to do that. He didn't inquire about the situation. He inquired about it enough to confirm his suspicions based on what he learned from her was right, so that he could tell me this is what you need to do. And I'm supposed to be obedient to what he's telling me to do. So not only do we got Monroe County telling me what I need to do, now I got church people, church leaders, people who be on the pulpit telling me what I need to do. And none of these people pay my bills. I'm the one that was working 2 jobs and 3 jobs to pay the bills. So wifey is head of the family. Monroe County and the church people are asserting her headship over me, but I'm paying the bills. And what I mean by I'm paying the bills, meaning, Matt, you was working 2 and 3 jobs, but now you're just working 1 job, and you still make more money than you. So we need your income is going to be the and the forked tongue part of wifey on that was I never knew all the details of how much she was making from her little stuff that she was doing. She just made me think that my stuff was, because when you're the head of the family, when you're the leader, sometimes you got to manipulate the people that you lead so that they follow you. Right? Just like a senator or a congressman or a mayor, when you are the leader of something, you have to manipulate your constituents sometimes, because sometimes honesty is not the best policy, apparently. You say, I've heard it, honesty is the best policy. But is it? Is it? Like with the coronavirus. One little thing. Now, I don't know how true this is. All I know is I know what I heard and I know what I listened to, because I listen to these people just like everybody else. But coronavirus has put everybody on the same page for a little while. Right? Now, here's what I heard. I heard from the person's mouth. Okay, I'm not saying I heard this hearsay. I heard in an interview, the dude who said this, I heard what he said at first and what he said later, and then he told us his rationale, his reasoning for why he said what he said at first and why it changed to something else. Okay, he told us one thing and then told us another thing, and the one thing at first was obviously wrong, because the other thing is now the new thing that everybody need to do. But the second thing that was said, he should have told us that at the beginning, but he had a reason why he didn't tell us the second thing first. He told us the first thing first because he had a reason. And his reason was we needed to make sure that the resources went towards these group of people first before we cared about everybody else. Now, honesty was not the best policy at the beginning. Honesty was the best policy after pressure was put on them. Yo, with one tongue you said this and the other tongue you said that. You're being fork-tongued. You can't say two different things that are contradictory. So we're calling you on it. Here's what you said here, and here's what you said here. Reconcile the two. Tell us why. So he had to stitch his forked tongue together and tell us why. Now, that might have been a lie too. Now, do I care? No. I'm in my 40s. I already know that America got some bad spots. I don't have any desire to live in another country. They say America is the greatest country in the world. But if this is the greatest country in the world, and some of our leaders are fork-tongued, some of our religious leaders are fork-tongued, some of our religious beliefs got us going one direction, but the realities on the ground in America got us going from another direction, then I had to learn to accept contradictions. So in my 30s, after I had my son, I started to accept contradictions. And I'm telling you, it's a long process, man. You can't just, listen, it's a long process to accept contradictions. So I can accept now when you say to me, let me tell you a good example of what you, okay. I can accept when you say to me that, that I can accept when someone says to me, I need your vote. If you vote for me, I'm going to work for you. I can accept someone saying that, knowing that once I give them my vote, they're not going to work for me, but they're going to work for somebody else who has deeper pockets than me, who have more leverage over him or her than me. And so you just needed my vote because you need the popular vote and the electoral college vote. You need to win both to really fully be mandated, to have a mandate. I can accept the forked tongue. We have to. You cannot live in America and not accept forked tonguery from our politicians. You cannot live in America without accepting forked tonguery from our public officials. You can't live in America. It comes with the territory. Being a politician, you almost have to be a master of forked tonguery. You have to be, because you gotta be able to turn your conversation on a dime based on public sentiment. If the public don't like it no more, you have to pretend like you don't like it no more, and you gotta be at the head of the masses that are walking in this direction. You know what? We tired of this, blah 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 blah. So we all say, you know what? Forget all this. We going in this direction. You, as a politician, you need to be able to like do a wind check, like they taught us in the church. One of the church I went to, they call wind check, knowing where the wind is going, where the wind is blowing. Where's the wind blowing? What's public sentiment? What are people saying? What do they think is? Yeah, well, look, they think like, well, you know what? Then I'm gonna take this position now. Guess what? I agree with you guys. Give me about 10 minutes to say what I got to say. Let me publicize my politician website and my politician phone number and my politician PayPal, so you can send me money for, because I agree with you. So if you give me money, we're gonna make what you believe happen. Forked tonguery from our politicians, you have to accept it. Now, those of us that don't feel that way, now what do? We fight against the politicians and we get involved with this and that and the other, whatever. And what I learned, and that's why it hit me just now, is that idea of everybody should be 2 years in the military. All I'm doing, if let's say I campaign to make that a policy, and let's say everybody in America had to go into the military for 2 years. Do you know there's a whole bunch of Americans who are not suited to be in the military? Do you know that? I've seen so many people get kicked out the military. I'm a paralegal. You're not suited to be in this month. You need to go be working. Hold on. Uh-oh. Hey, what's going on, Dad?
Yeah, you got somebody on the phone? It's okay.
No, I'm good.
You can have somebody on the phone. Huh?
No, I wasn't talking to anybody. I was just recording a sermon. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Listen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm in the car. Okay, yeah, we'll talk a little bit later. All right, Dad. All right, bye-bye. All right, now, I got to edit this out, so because I'm at least I got most of my point out. Good Lord. Now, back to the sermon. So I begin to so I changed my mind about everybody being in the military, because not everybody can handle military life, military stuff. So what I looked at it as this, is that everybody has a vote. So when you become 18 years old, you can now vote in elections. But everybody, even little children, pay taxes. Meaning that when the children want something or need something, the parents are paying taxes on what they need. They don't realize it yet, but because they're around, taxes are being spent money is paid in taxes to make them straight, right? So that's why children need to be born. And if you looked at the national debt clock, just look at national debt clock, and it says, the last time I looked at it was about 4 years ago, and I'm give or take about a couple of months, give or take a year, right? Probably about 4 or 5 years ago at the latest. If you look at the national debt clock, you will find that how many people are born, and how much you'll find how much money does every American child owe in relationship to the national debt. So if you look at the national debt, which is X amount of trillions of dollars, so it goes 100, 1,000, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, and then above millions is billions, and then above billions is trillions. Okay? So trillions of dollars. $1 trillion is 1,000,000 millions. Just like 1,000,000 is 1,000 thousands. Just like 100 is 10 tens. Which is like that the Bishop T.D. Jakes sermon, about the 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 100 is 1,000. 1,000 times 1,000 is 100,000. 100,000 times 100,000 is 1,000,000. 1,000,000 times 1,000,000 is 1,000,000,000. Yes, 1,000,000 times 1,000,000 is 1,000,000,000. So what I said is wrong. And 1,000,000,000 times 1,000,000,000 is 1 trillion. A million times 1,000,000 is 1,000,000,000, and 1,000,000,000 times 1,000,000,000 is 1 trillion. Look up the national debt. How many trillions do we owe right now as of, this is 2020, but look up whatever year that you listening to this in, what year is it if you're in America? What's the national debt? Now, the national debt clock says that my son and my daughter, each of them owes a piece of that national debt. Wait a minute, my son and my daughter, they didn't have nothing to do with the national debt. They just came into this world. Why are they responsible based on some national debt clock? Why are my children responsible for the national debt? Their portion of it. Why? Well, because they're Americans. You're born into America. If you're born into America, you have ownership, responsibility of the national debt. So when you think about and you talk about the national debt, you can dismiss it, but you have a responsibility about the national debt. And if you have a responsibility of the national debt, that means that's part of the reason why you got the right to vote. And you have other rights related to that. So here's what it means. If you have responsibility of the national debt, even from the time you were born, which here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the last time I looked at it, my son owes $1,600 towards the national debt. My daughter owes $1,600 towards the national debt. 330 million Americans all owe $1,600. $1,600 times 320 million equals the national debt. Now, here's what's funny. If you look at the national debt and you divide it by, you look at the national debt, X amount of trillions of dollars, divided by 330 million Americans, you come up with a number. That number is how much each person owes towards the national debt. That's people that walk around and beg you for a few dollars when you go into the grocery store or whatever. Like, in some inner cities, there's people that are, quote, beggars, right? Each of them owes such and such to the national debt. Your boss, and all the way up the food chain, up to the people who run all the companies in the world, run the companies in America, all of them owe X amount towards the national debt. And taxes that you pay out your payroll taxes and out of your cigarette taxes and your grocery taxes and your beverage size taxes and property taxes and ACA taxes and car insurance that's mandated and all that. None of that goes towards the national debt. If you said, I'm gonna pay, if you wrote a check to the Treasury, to the national, to the Federal Reserve, which is where the Federal Reserve is where the debt is owed to. The Federal Reserve, America owes the Federal Reserve X amount of trillions of dollars in debt. So the Federal Reserve publishes a debt clock that says this is how much every American owes the Federal Reserve. And if I wrote a check to the Federal Reserve for $1,600 for me, and $1,600 for my son, and $1,600 for my daughter, and $1,600 for my wifey, and $1,600 for my wife, and $1,600 for my father, $1,600 for my mother. If I wrote a check for everybody in my family of that magnitude, the national debt would still be there, and they would still hold me accountable. They would say, thank you for the money. And it would not knock the number down. They wouldn't say Matthew's not responsible. And these people, they wouldn't do that. No. You're going to owe, the way that they've crafted it is, America will always be under the Federal Reserve because of debt. We value ourselves based on debt. Do you know that there is actually an American cliche that says you are worth how much somebody owes you? You got $100 in your pocket and your friend owes you $100, you're worth $200. Whoa. Whoa. There's more on that. I'm not going to get into it. But just that piece of information that I've shared just this far is one of the reasons why if my son and my daughter, if they owe $1,600 a piece towards the national debt, what that means is that my children, they shouldn't go into the military. They should be a part of the decision making. Because if I owe something, I didn't make the debt. I'm in my 40s. I didn't make any decisions that made it so that I owe $1,600 to the national debt. I didn't make none of the decisions. Who made the decision? People who are in public office are the ones that make the decisions. So since the people who make the decisions for the country are public office holders, aren't public office holders beholden to the public? And that's why I believe that every American, every one of the 330 Americans, at some point in our lives, doesn't matter, whatever point in your life, you should hold some sort of public office. Why? So that you can get a personal civics lesson, so that whatever you do with your life, it benefits the country that you're a part of, and it benefits yourself and your family. Somebody said, ask not what your country should do for you, but what you should do for your country. That statement, what can you do for your country? You can hold public office. What do you do for your country? You pay taxes. What have you done for your country? You've voted. You've been a responsible driver, so you get car insurance. You've done that for your country because the country said you must have car insurance. So you've done that for your country. The country says you must drive this speed limit. And when you drive above the speed limit and you get a ticket, you pay the ticket, which means you're still helping your country out. Why? Because you're paying the country. When you pay, you don't have to have a speed limit. There's some places ain't no speed limit. Ain't there such a thing in another country called the Autobahn, where you can drive as fast as you want on the Autobahn? You don't have to have a speed limit. My father, who I consider a brilliant man. Okay? My father said to a police officer, okay, officer, let me ask you something now. You caught me speeding, but let me ask you something. Why do I have on the dashboard 120 miles an hour that I can go if it's going to be illegal for me to go that fast, which he wasn't going that fast. If it's going to be illegal for me to go that fast, then why don't they make cars where you can't go that fast? Why would you give me a ticket for driving as fast as the car could go when you can really go to the car companies and mandate that they only make cars that go only 75 miles an hour? If the speed limit is 70, make the car only go 75. If you make a car that goes above 75 miles an hour, you go to jail. Whoa, that's not America. We don't do that. No. That's fork-tonguery right there. Because that police officer's like, yeah, that's a good point, and walks away. He don't present, that don't become a law. It should. Either we're going to outlaw tickets, or we're going to outlaw making vehicles that drive too fast. Outlaw speeding tickets, or outlaw making cars. No, we're going to empower people to drive fast so that we can give them tickets. That's fork-tonguery. But if you're an American, you accept that. You accept it. And when you're driving and you see somebody driving past you at 90 miles an hour, you say, dang, that guy is stupid. No, he's not stupid. Boy, that's unsafe. No, it's not unsafe. Because if it was unsafe, then all vehicles would only be going the speed limit based on the manufacturing of the car. It's fork-tonguery. That's what we have to live with. If you're an American, fork-tonguery. Now listen, this is the end. I'm gonna end on this. M3dots.com is the website. Right? My email is m3dots@yahoo.com. If you go to my Facebook, Matt Ellipsis, find me on Facebook. if you send me your friendship, most likely I will accept your friendship, because Facebook friendship and actual friendship is not the same. I've embraced the forked tonguery myself. I know that a Facebook friend is not my actual friend. I know that when you become a Facebook friend, you can investigate all my pictures and do your research on me. I know why Facebook exists. I've embraced the forked tonguery. So, there you go. Now, the final thing I'll say as I bring this to a close is that the antidote for forked tonguery is truth, honesty. And truth and honesty are synonyms, but they're not exactly the same. I learned in church that truth is a person, not a thing. Truth, from a church definition, truth is Jesus. Jesus is the truth. He said, I am the way and the truth and the life. So Jesus is the truth. So in that movie, when he said, you can't handle the truth, he's really saying, you can't handle Jesus. I think that that's really what he meant. I still got to, I had to watch the movie again. Now, honesty comes from you. You can be honest. You can be truthful. And when you say you're a truthful person, in non-Christian terms, in American dictionary terms, truth and honesty are synonyms. They're the same thing. So I'm going to use it in both ways. I'm going to use it sometimes in the Christian context as being, when you hear me talk in the future. And sometimes I'm going to use it in American context because I'm an American. I'm an American Christian. I'm a Christian American. I'm 100% Christian and 100% American at the same time. Just like Jesus was 100% God and 100% man at the same time. And that's the truth. Right? So, the way to deal with forked tonguery is truth tonguery. And I think I just came up with a song name. Forked tonguery versus truth tonguery. Or something like that. Anyway. And forked tonguery, by the way, that's me taking creative license with words. Forked tonguery, you know what it is just based on what I said. And truth tonguery, you know what that is based on what I'm saying. And so I am a truth tonguery person. And in my 40s, I have decided that I'm going to be 100% honest. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to use tact. And it doesn't mean I'm going to always say what's on my mind. But I'm honest with myself. I'm not going to walk around letting people, not holding people accountable for things that they've done to me, do to me. Now, if Jesus, or if God lets me know, Matt, don't worry, I got this one handled, then I'm already trained to do that. I'm trained to turn the other cheek at least 4 times. And I'm trained to forgive at least 7 times 70 times. At least. So that means that you can hit me on all 4 cheeks and I forgive you 770 times, which means you can go back to them cheeks. I know how to do that. But at some point in the hitting of my cheeks and the forgiveness, at some point in there's going to be some truth-tonguery. And there might be some laying on of hands too, but that's just another. What I'm saying is, at some point, I have to hold people accountable for what they do to me. And I'm mature enough, not just because I'm 40, I'm in my 40s, not just because of that, but because I've been through the military, I've been through church stuff, I have paid attention to politics, I've paid attention to religion, and so I have in my mind, I feel I have enough information to at least now start making decisions that would be considered good judgment by more than just a couple of people in my life. And I've got access to not just my perspective, but I've got access to all of my friends, whether it's Facebook friends or Instagram friends or church friends or military friends or music friends, VA friends. I've got all of their perspectives at my disposal, plus I've got God's perspective at my disposal. So that means I got when I make a decision, I always consider all of these perspectives for every single decision. Even every decision to get up and leave the house and go somewhere. I consider all these perspectives. Sounds ridiculous, but I'm trained to do that. Me. You may be trained a different way, and your decision making may be. So sometimes when I make a decision, you or someone else may not understand it. And I've learned, now that I'm in my 40s, you don't have to like my decisions. But you have to respect me. Respect comes from you to me. And it goes from me to you. Respect is from without, outside of you. Honesty comes from within you. So, you have to respect my decision for whatever I'm doing. And so, if I did my swearing in the military, I did 20-something years, swearing in to defend the Constitution, blah, blah, blah. That's public office. I'm a public person as a military person. Okay? And then, separate from that, I also was a Department of the Army civilian where you take the same oath that the president and the this and the that and the Congress and the Senate and the this. I take my version of that same oath for both of my jobs for years. Okay? So I have served America. Which means that I have a vested interest in the success of America. And I have in my mind many solutions to many problems. And many other people have things in their minds that are solutions or whatever. Now, if we get to the idea, for instance, the topic of, police and Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter, or we back the badge, and when we get onto that topic and kneeling, regarding the flag, and protests, you know, and some people mischaracterization of protests as riots and looting, which is separate from protests, and the way that the police and federal officers, soldiers, whatever, coming out, putting people in vans and take that whole topic. I got some thoughts about it, and other people got thoughts about it. But the bottom line is, there is a group of people who, when they look at the way that police conduct themselves, when it comes to black people, there's nothing wrong. There is no problem. It's working exactly the way that it should be working. And I've had to learn how to accept that. And if I want to do something about it, I got to do exactly what they did about it. They put it in place. I got to do something. Either I'm going to fight against it, meaning politically, or spiritually. And I know about spiritual fighting. Political fighting, I studied it. But I'm not no politician. And I actually don't desire to be a politician. I like being what I am right now. I like being retired. I did my public service to the country under what I used to believe and under what I currently believe. I used to believe everybody should go into the military. I accomplished that. And what I now believe is everybody should hold public office for at least one term. I did I did 4 terms. And what I mean by term is, for the military is 8 years, is one term. I did 24. So the first one was 8 years. And then the second one was supposed to be 6 years. And then the third one, whatever, I'm not going to get all that. So I did my public service based on my own rubric. You make your own rubric for your life. For my son and my daughter, what I'm going to tell my children is, as you're growing up, when you become an adult, or before you're an adult, you need to do at least one term of public service to the country. Being a public office holder or serving in a public office capacity. Public something. Where you swear in, oath to defend the country, blah, 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 blah. Now, you don't have to do that for the rest of your life. But if you do it at least one time in your life, son or daughter, then in my mind, you will have enough insight to make good decisions for the rest of your life. Because I don't care, at this point in my life, I don't care about the country. Like I cared enough to serve in the military as long as I have and retire. But when I was retiring, after I was, I knew I was about to retire, I still got beat up by 5 police officers. And they knew I was military. I still got beat up by 7 police officers 4 days later. And they knew I was military. So, I understand the fork-tonguery. And I also understand that the people who, the police officers that beat me up on the 4th of July, 2018, and the 8th of July, 2018, those police officers, whoever they work for, and whoever they work for that they work for, And whoever they work for, all the way up to the top of the totem pole, they got qualified immunity, or they don't have to be held accountable. But like I told you, I'm not letting nobody do nothing to me and they not be held accountable. Either, because here's the thing, God says this: vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will repay. So I gave all of the things that the police officers did to me, and what they put on the paperwork was a lie, and all the repercussions that I had to deal with, I dealt with them repercussions. I have literally dealt with the repercussions of them beating me up. They beat me up, and I went through the process as though I was wrong. I know I wasn't wrong. I know they was wrong, but nobody held them accountable in the American system. The judge didn't. The prosecutors didn't. My defense counsel didn't. My public defender didn't. Nobody has held the 5 and the 7 accountable. Right now, the 5 and the 7 are not accountable by the American justice system, which justice is supposed to be blind. But somehow justice looked at me and said, no, this is right. We got to tilt it this way. Because the judge, he's supposed to be the eyes of justice. And what did he do? He did fork-tonguery. In 2018, he classified me and ratified me as one thing. And in 2019, 2020, he classified and ratified me as something else. I can't be both. How can I be both? Now, I'm not getting into that. I did a recording, and I'm going to publish that recording about what happened in 2018 that led to the police officers beating me up on the 4th and the 8th. Nobody knows the whole story. If you want to know the whole story, what am I going to call it? Let me think. I'm going to call that discussion, because I already recorded. I haven't named it yet. Let me think. Let me come up with the name right now. I'm going to call it skip it, man. I got to say it what it is. The fork-tonguery of the 4th of July. Thank you, Lord. The fork-tonguery of the 4th of July. I'm writing this down right now. I'm putting it in my sermon list. Cause that one, I got the whole thing just now. The fork-tonguery I might have to figure out how to spell that too. The fork-tonguery of the 4th, the fork-tonguery of Independence Day. Is that the way I'm gonna do it? I'll figure that out. The 4th of July. I like 4th of July. The fork-tonguery of the 4th of July. So that might be it. That's probably gonna be it. The fork-tonguery of the 4th of July. And so now I will go into that. And so if the court system, if it's fair that happened to me, because so far nobody in America has made it right. I've been talking about this to the right people and the wrong people for over now for over 2 years. And I have a deadline. And the deadline is in 2021 of something. And when that deadline hit, when that deadline hits, certain people are going to breathe a sigh of relief. But they got to be held accountable. Because if America is not going to hold them accountable, God will. Now, ain't that a trip? When you in America, I'm an American citizen. I'm entitled as an American to get justice. But apparently I'm not. The fork tonguery says you're entitled to get justice. And then the other fork of the tongue says, no, that's just the way it is. You're not entitled to justice. You got justice. This was just. One tongue says this was not just. And the other tongue says this was just. One tongue says this was horrible. The other tongue says this is good. So I decided to embrace both tongues. And that's how I'm living my life. I'm embracing both tongues. Because if I have to live a life under the rule of fork tonguery, then I have to be a truth tonguery person. Not to fight against fork tonguery. Because you know what? Whoever is in charge, that's who rules. And to be honest with you, in 2017, I disconnected from this world system. I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world. So I'm not going to go out and march and protest. And not that it's wrong, but America has proven to me that marching and protests, it may work in some respects, but the marching and protests, they, like with the Breonna Taylor case, they put a black face as the prosecutor. So now he's the face. We're supposed to trust that face. He looked just like us black people. And then one of the jurors comes out and says, listen, what they presented to us was not the whole, what, really? That's fork tonguery. But it's okay. It is okay. Fork tonguery is the way that America runs, and it's okay. It is okay. If it wasn't okay for us to have fork tonguery, if it wasn't good, then the people in charge would change it. They oust people all the time that they disagree with. So if America is wrong, then the people in charge, the people who have power, they would make it right if they believed it was wrong. I can give you lip service and say, oh, I totally agree with you, boy. I totally, it's messed up that happened. And then walk away and do nothing about it, even if I got power over it. That's fork tonguery. You ever heard the term, throw the rock, hide your hand? That's fork tonguery type stuff. And so now, in terms of accountability, I always, starting in 2016, I made a list of holding people accountable. And so there was a guy by the name of Bruh, he was part of Conclave Download. And when the things that he did wrong, I learned from the military how to hold them accountable. And it ain't a fight. One person in my life said, man, about this other person. He said, man, you didn't even at least hit him at least one time in the face. No, man. No, I'm not a violent person, and I'll never be a violent person. And no matter what anybody will ever say about me, I'm not a violent person. I sit in the house and I stay away from everybody and I do my little writings and recordings. That's all I'm doing for the rest of my life. I am not doing nothing at all. Never. Anything I'm ever accused of, if it ain't got nothing to do with sitting in the house, writing lyrics, or doing something constructive based on what's on m3dots.com and the Matt Ellipsis Show, it's a lie. I heard Matt was out here doing this and he was did it. Go to my website, go to my videos. I'm honest from within, and I'm a truth-tongued person. And someone can accuse me of lying. You can. But that's why I don't have to chase everybody down and try to fix what people's perspective of me. Because if you are thimble-brained enough to believe fork-tonguery about me, that's fine. I can't worry about it. I'm a man, just like Jesus, of no reputation. I'm not trying to build my reputation up to be a certain thing. I don't care. I will tell you in my own words what I've done. You can say in your words what you think I've done, and you got freedom of speech. I am a Constitution-following person, no matter what anybody will ever say about me. I don't care. I'm in my 40s, and I got children to raise. And that's my number one priority, is I got my babies to raise. And this sermon about public office, this is what I'm about to tell my children. I believe it for everybody. And you don't have to buy into my mess. If you don't agree with me, I don't care if you don't agree with me. I'm not doing this for consensus. I don't care. If this video only gets viewed by my son and my daughter, and me periodically, I have fulfilled my mission. If 4 people view it, meaning beyond my son, beyond my daughter, and me, if 4, 5, 6, 7, if it gets 20 views, I have now exceeded my expectations. Dang, you only got 10 views? That's your view. How many views you got on your videos? Oh, I got a whole bunch of views. But what you talking about? I'm talking about this, that, and the other. Well, that's what you talking about, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what I'm talking about. You talking about what you talking about. Let's not compare. It's apples and oranges. I'm kingdom. You're you. Do what you do. Don't criticize me for what I'm doing just because I'm not doing what you're doing. So my point is that if every American did some public service or public office, and I don't mean service to the country in a slavery way. I'm saying, you know the rules for becoming president. Natural born citizen, 35 years old. And there's one more thing I can't remember at the moment. Go run for president. I don't care. But everybody needs to do one thing for at least one term. If you do one thing for one term, you will have a different perspective of America where you can say and you can do, in my mind, and listen, my opinion shouldn't matter. Go with what your parents taught you. Go with what your preachers taught you. Go with what your friends taught you. Go with what you taught yourself. My children, I'm teaching them something, and if they don't obey it, it's up to them. They're Americans. They can do what they want. But while they're under my leadership as the head of the family, and again, remember the forked tonguery, she's really the head, not me, right? I'm dealing with that. The thing I've got that nobody else can take from me is my platform, my little soapbox. I paid for my platform. My children, they know what my platform is. And while they are functioning as prisoners of war, they know where they can go. And in the meantime, this is what I'm telling you right now. Literally, my son and my daughter, they're not of age to even do this. Both my children are under 10 years old. This is a conversation for my children when they get 14, 15, 13, 14, 15. When they get, when they start learning, I am a bill, I am only a bill, and I'm sitting there on Capitol Hill. When they start learning that, then I can hit them with the one-term public service, public office discussion. And if for some reason I'm not alive to give them the conversation in person, that's what this sermon is for. Because to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. I'm going about fulfilling God's will for my life. Hey, hold on, children. I'm driving. I got to put on my headpiece, okay? So hold on, okay? Hold on. All right, hold on. Hold on. Not now. Okay, come on now. What is going on here? All right, hold on. Hold on. I'm getting my earphones, baby. Hold on now. Let me get my earphones together. Turn it. Hold on, man. There we go. I'm getting it together here. Battery full. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can my babies now hear me? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can my babies now hear me? Can you hear me? Good. Yes, my son. Yes, my daughter. I'm listening. What'd you say? Okay. Okay. For a possible what? For a possible. Wait, she sent me 4 possible times that I could come over? What times were they? Because I haven't seen it. What are the times? Okay, well tell me. You tell me which times you want me to come over. I don't. Okay, I understand. Okay, I'm supposed to decide it? No, you said I'm supposed to decide what time I come? Well, listen, while I'm on the phone, Okay, bring your mother. I'm listening right now. Take it to your mother. So you, me, and your mother. She can tell me because I'm driving right now. I didn't see the 5 possible times. So let's you, me, and your mother talk right now, and I'll decide right now, and she can decide right now. Let's. Okay. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. Can my babies now hear me? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now my babies do hear me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can my babies now hear me? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can my baby? Dang, I gotta do scales. Naomi, are you there? Hello? Yeah, I just came up with a jingle. While I was trying to get my little earpiece going. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can my babies now hear me? So forgive me. No, but look, Nathan said that you sent me 5 options, and I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I haven't been in my email because I had a bunch of stuff going on yesterday. So now I'm driving right now, and one of my former coworkers, he was calling me kind of suicidal. So I've been on the phone with him, kind of dealing with him, because you know how I feel about suicide. And so he's over the hump on that. And so I got to visit him today so that I can listen to him in person, because he said, Matt, please don't. This is what he told me. He said, Matt, don't lie to me, man. You said you're going to be here Wednesday. I need to see you Wednesday, man. And he was just in and out of it, or whatever. And then his wife went into the hospital. So it changed the priority. And because of COVID, he can't be with his wife. But his wife is all right, but it's still stressful because he was going to check himself into the VA. But his wife, now she's in the hospital, he can't be in the VA. So I just got to go visit him and spend some time with him. But I told him, I said, listen, I got a time to see with my children too. He said, Matt, you do what you got to do. I'm gonna work around your babies. They're important. Now, so because he this is my buddy from Toro. And so that's one thing on my agenda today, and then meeting with the babies. So I didn't see whatever Nathan said 5 opportunities. So if you tell me, you and Nathan, y'all let me know what time. I mean, I should be in Toma, right? Let me see, what time is it now? It's is it 1 o'clock in the afternoon right now? What time is it? Because my clock on this messed up on this thing. What time is it right now? 11 o'clock? 10 o'clock? Okay, so it's almost noon. Okay. So based on where I'm at, I passed the Wisconsin Dells. I'm right now passing Camp Douglas. So, I haven't had a shower in like 2 days. So I can come straight over in a few minutes. But I assume they're in school. I can go back to the house, take me a shower like I really want to. And then, whatever time, I'm totally flexible. So what is best for you and what's best for the babies? That's not the question, but yes, I did. I don't know if it was 25. I don't think it was that many, but yes, I did. What time? Valerie, that's what I'm saying. I was on the phone with the other guy. I'm driving right now. Forget the messages. Tell me now. No, I didn't check you. I didn't check the messages because I didn't. Well, me right now. Okay. I didn't see your text messages. I think I saw some of your text messages come in, but like I said, I was dealing with my friend. No, that was that on. on Monday was when he first called me, and we talked for 3 hours, and then on Tuesday we would talk while you were texting. I know, but I'm trying to let you know I didn't see your text message. Wait, what are you talking about? Hold on. My phone, I can't hear you. It's hard to hear you. The guy. That ain't got nothing to do with me visiting the babies. Oh. Can we iron out the time for me to come see the babies first before we go into that? No. On the phone. So you're preventing me from seeing the babies. You are preventing me from seeing the babies. So what? Stop with the don't. I told you. Don't patronize me. What time? What are the? Tell me on the phone. Tell me on the phone. Tell me now. I know. Then of course you don't. Because you're being fork-tongued. So then, you know what? Then what I'll do, listen. What I'll do is, I'm not looking at no text messages. Tell me now. Tell me them now. Look at the phone, and I'm driving. Then don't refer to them. Don't refer to the text messages. Don't refer. So what time? What time do you want me to come over there with the baby? What time? I'm not checking my messages. I'm on the phone with you now. Then that means you don't. What time? What time? You tell me. You tell me now. You're on the phone with me now. You tell me now. You tell me now. So, are you going to tell me right now, what are the 4 times? Why don't you tell me? You know what? Okay. You know what? Oh, wait. Go check. All right. Go put me on the phone with Nathan. 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 Until you put me on the phone with Nathan. 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 Put me on the phone with my son. Put me on the phone with my daughter. Put me on the phone with my children. Put me on the phone with my children. Put me on the phone with my children. Nathan, Naomi, can you hear me? Put me on the phone with my children. Put me on the phone. Put me on the phone with my children. 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 And the conversation is over. So put me on the phone with my children. Put me on the phone with my children. Oh, goodness. Well, I think I ended my sermon, and as you can see, what I'm grateful for is that things are working out. So I'm right near my destination. So I've got some work to do. So I will talk to you guys in a little while. Bless you. Thank you for listening to the Matt Ellipsis Show and this ridiculous sermon. All right.
Pulling out my garage, notice flashing lights coming in a barrage. It's 2 a.m. on my way to Fort McCoy. This happened before I had my new baby boy. Had to slam the brakes and put it into reverse. Guns pointed at me like they want to disperse. I put my hands up, they installed the cuffs, my mind spinning. Officer, yo, what is the fuss? What is the fuss? They looked through the car and checked my ID. This is my home, my car, and I'm me. Had to break down my itinerary, but I never got a reason. Incendiary. Not engaged in a crime, but I felt at risk. At the time, I never heard the term stop and frisk. No apology or wrongdoing admittance. They pulled away and said, you know you look suspicious. I was taught not to envy or strife and turn the other cheek when they don't treat you right, and give a soft answer rather than continue the fight. But if my last name was Monday, would I be that polite? And if I had my own badge, would I ever requite? And if the system favored me, would I ever indict? I'm too young not to try and too old to sit by. M3dots.com, I'ma do my part. Why, when Cliven pointed his rifle right at the authorities, he did I get an eye full of tear gas or bullet holes nose to stifle from authorities. I think that they capitulated. I'm not saying that Bundy should have died, but some counties are known for their military-like response. When I pointed out what I thought was the obvious, I missed the monolithic size irony entirely. Sovereign citizens never answereth to an illegitimate government. More than protest, they resist. They protect their interests. FBI, domestic terrorists. Something like a jihadist or whether underground. What happens when you make that list? Government shuts you down unless you're a great American friend and frequent guest. But would I even live that long? I'm too afraid to test. I was taught not to envy or strife and turn the other cheek when they don't treat you right, and give a soft answer rather than continue the fight. But if my last name was Monday, would I be that polite? And if I had my own badge, would I ever requite? And if the system favored me, would I ever indict? I'm too young not to try and too old to sit by. M3dots.com, I'ma do my part. I'd like to interrogate the notion of meritocracy, American dream hypocrisy, liberal thought philosophy, conservative ideology, Islam bomb autocracy, rich in the aristocracy, loyalty into the blue wall and its pathology, what it means to be a white supremacist and if it's international camaraderie. Is a militia just a gang under a different name? Unisex bathroom just a game under a different frame? Like when Jerry Springer bell it rang, I'm supposed to swing against the enemy that I've been trained? So put up your thing. They're supposed to get the riot gear so they can bring the fear, splash the sparks of a revolution, fire hose my tears. The plot is intricate, demonic, vociferous. Throw the rock, hide your hand in it, the result is never victimless. Do I still believe in Willie Lynch? Doesn't matter, my tax burden is 33%. I was taught not to envy or strife and turn the other cheek when they don't treat you right, and give a soft answer rather than continue the fight. But if my last name was Monday, would I be that polite? And if I had my own badge, would I ever requite? And if the system favored me, would I ever indict? I'm too young not to try and too old to sit by. M3dots.com, I'ma do my part.